Hello everyone, I'm Ian from Creative Visuals, and today is just going to be a really fast video talking about the Mavic Air 2. I know that there's not even anything really out about it yet, and the reason I'm doing this is just because I don't have my computer back. Apple has not given me my MacBook Pro back, the upgraded one with the Vega 20, so I'm stuck editing on my phone, so I'm just keeping it simple with these simple cuts, sort of like this. Little ones like that, and basically I'm just going to be talking about the Mavic Air 2 from a user. I have had it for about 6 months now, and I'm just going to say the things I like about it, things I don't, and what I would want to see them improve in the next generation of it, as there is a spot for this in the super portable 4K drone space in DJI. You have the Mavic Air, then the Mavic 2 Pro, then the Phantom 4 Pro, and then the Inspire 2. It's at the low end, but at the same time I could see them adding a lot of improvements while keeping it below the Mavic 2 Pro. So let's get right into the video. So let's talk about the first most important thing pretty much any camera, photography, videography, drone needs, and that is a good camera. So the current Mavic Air has a 1/2 inch sensor. It's capable of recording up to 4K at 30 frames per second at 100 megabits per second, and this is all at 12 megapixels on the sensor. So in all, it's like the smallest sensor on a portable drone they have at the moment. Same one that was in the Mavic Pro, the original, and it's just got a f2.8 aperture instead of f2.4, so even worse at low light. But in general, it is a better one in my opinion, just because you don't have to tap the focus in that. So they have improved that, but what I could see them improving more is making this a slightly bigger sensor, just to get a bit more dynamic range. Yes, it's still not going to have as good low light, and no, they're not ever going to add a 1-inch sensor to it, because that would completely obliterate any need to get the Mavic 2 Pro, which is bigger. But I can see them adding a better sensor, and most importantly, while keeping it under 1 inch for the sensor size, I could really see them adding 4K at 60 frames per second on this smaller sensor, so that you're not getting the same quality as the Phantom 4 Pro, but you're still getting that buttery smooth footage even when you're flying at faster speeds. So that was the camera itself. Now next up is the actual gimbal itself, because this is the biggest problem I've had with my Mavic Air, and that is the gimbal tilt. It just doesn't have enough tilt, it doesn't have enough angle to it. So if you ever get into sport mode, you're just instantly into FPV drone style, pointing towards the ground. It's kind of annoying in that sense. So that is why I think it would be very beneficial for them to add more gimbal tilt, more angle for the gimbal to tilt, and both sideways and front and back would be very beneficial for this thing, because it can be a pain. So next up, another very important thing that they kind of have to do at this point is to add low noise propellers. Who knows, maybe they're still going to release them for the first Mavic Air. You can use the spark propellers on it, but they are no quieter, and really the loudness of this drone is just it's so much louder even than the Mavic 2 Pro, which is a much bigger drone. They need to make this thing quieter in the next generation. So next thing that we have to go over is flight time, and I know this thing already has really good flight time for its size. I'm impressed. You get around 20 minutes, which isn't a whole lot. Yes, you do need a few more batteries, but being that the Fly More combo is so affordable already compared to other DJI drones, I don't see there too much of an issue unless you're doing time-lapse videos or hyperlapses, which you can do on the Mavic Air. I have a tutorial here to do that, but if you're not doing anything like that all the time, I see no problem with the flight time. Maybe a few extra minutes would be appreciated, but really in general, it's already a very efficient drone for the battery size. Try not to get hit by the car, try not to get hit by a car. Oh. So next up is another very important thing, and that is the range and just general connection to the drone from the controller and the video feed. So in general, these things are good at close distances, but as soon as you get any more than about 1,000 feet away, things start to get a little bit choppy depending on where you are. So a better connection is a need. Yes, it's very good for Wi-Fi. I'm impressed with the Wi-Fi signal, but at least putting OcuSync, the first gen, onto the next generation, if they could somehow make it even a tiny bit bigger of a drone just to fit that in, I would be 110% okay with that, because OcuSync on my Mavic Pro is so much better. So next up, this is getting a little bit nitpicky, but maybe just a bit more responsive, because even in comparison to, say, the Mavic Pro 1, the Mavic Air just doesn't feel quite as responsive. Yes, once it's going, it is zippy, and I think this must have to do with the connection as well. But when you move the joystick, it's just not, there's more of a delay between you moving the joystick and the drone responding to what you do. Yes, once it responds, it goes fast and it is snappy. It's good at maneuvering, but there's just a delay between when you tell it to do it and when it actually does. It's not horribly noticeable, and I'm sure if I hadn't owned a Mavic Pro, the original one, prior to getting the Mavic Air, I wouldn't even notice it. But just having a better connection in general, it needs it. So once again, this is a bit nitpicky as well, but just having some kind of display on the controller to tell you if your phone gets disconnected or you forget your phone, something happens and you still have to fly, say you lose connection and you're trying to return home, having some kind of display on the controller is very beneficial. Even if it's just numbers or the distance away or the flight height, it doesn't have to be all the information on the original Mavic Pro or the Mavic Pro 2. Just having some kind of display on there would be very beneficial. Now once again, the more sensors the better, so maybe having side and top obstacle avoidance on the next Mavic Air would be very good just for when you're in tripod mode. Doesn't have to be all the time, but when you're in tripod mode, you're usually flying in close quarters, so having that extra protection can save your butt more often than not, and it's just nice to have. I already appreciate having three-way directional obstacle avoidance, so having even more would just be so much better. So omnidirectional obstacle avoidance would be a must if they really want to get people to buy this Mavic Air 2 if they already have a Mavic Air. So just some other random features that would be really cool to have on the Mavic Air 2 is once again having the ability to turn the camera and take vertical photos like you could on the Mavic Pro, the original one. Yes, you can do that with panoramas on the Mavic Air, but at the same time it's much more time consuming, and it was just cool to be able to flip that camera even for vertical video. As I mentioned in a video a long time ago, that is possibly the future, so you never know about that. Vertical video would be nice to have as well. Some lights on the bottom like the Mavic Pro 2 would just be nice. I know you're not even allowed to fly at nighttime in Canada, but at the same time, when can you not be happy about having a feature like that? Like, that's just so cool. Having things like that, even if you're just trying to spot it in the sky, you could turn the lights on and see. So either way, having those lights on the bottom would be pretty cool. But other than that, I think the Mavic Air is a very good drone, and for what it does it very well. Maybe having things like more pro features like D-Log, that's kind of iffy just because there's the Mavic 2 Pro for that. And you can replicate D-Log pretty easily on the Mavic Air. If you guys are interested in how to do that, please let me know, and I will make a video about that, because I always shoot in a flat color profile on my Mavic Air, and you get quite a bit more dynamic range, so it's pretty cool. But that's pretty much it for today, guys, and like I said, my MacBook Pro with the Vega 20 graphics is coming. It's in the mail, so once it gets here, these videos will be much better. I'm just doing what I can editing on my phone. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys are excited about the Mavic Air 2, please let me know. Tell me what you guys want to see on it down in the comments below. I just like talking about this stuff. So, with all that out of the way, I guess it's time for some B-roll. I'm out here, got the camera up on the gimbal, so let's do a little B-roll session, shall we? Let's do it. Have a great day, everyone.